Carlisle, but if you look at the front gate on her fencing here, it's Annie Carlisle.
Okay.
So she obviously was, but there's no legal evidence of it.
So what, Carlisle, that was supposed to be her maiden name?
That was her, Annie Mccunn was her maiden name.
Okay.
Carlisle was her married name. We're coming through here because a lot of them got to be at Logan Mansion at 9.
Okay.
So. We had a number of madams in Shreveport in our red light district. During the red light days, Shreveport had the largest red light district per capita of any city in the United States. We beat New Orleans. Out to the rising sun, all that, we were bigger here, depending on the size of our city. Annie was our most famous, and I'd like to introduce you to her, Annie Mccunn.
Thank you. Y'all come on up here. I love it when you can hear me. Because I have a good story, y'all. I don't know if you've heard about me before, but I'm Annie Mccunn. I'm the Shreveport man. Now, I actually came up from New Orleans. You see, my parents were Irish immigrants and settled in New Orleans. I didn't like that city. I wanted to go somewhere that had a big city and money. So when the war ended, the Civil War, I followed those Yankees. And they came all the way to Shreveport. Wasn't hard, ooh, you're cute. It wasn't hard for me to get a job. As a matter of fact, I was very beautiful and desirable back then. I went to work for a madam down at the riverfront. Made a lot of money. Oh, yes, I did. I saved my money, too. You know why? Because I wanted my own place. And I got one. I rented from a man right down here on Common Street. Great location, y'all. As a matter of fact, next door to me was the Golden Rule, dance hall and saloon. Sounds like it's a teacher, doesn't it? Across the street was the Methodist Church. Well, that came in handy one time. I loved that location, and let me tell you why. You see, when the Cowboys came in from the west, they made the turn down on Common Street and headed toward Texas with those cattle. They were popping those whips, making all kinds of noise. As a matter of fact, people said it sounded like guns going off. No, to me it was money. They drove those cattle right by my girls, and my girls was up on that gallery just waving at them, throwing them kisses. I even let them lean over a little bit, but I never let them pull up their skirts. No, sir, that wasn't nice. They went down there to those rivers and those railroad because they were turning in that cattle and making money. You know how much they made a week back then? $5 a week. That was the average salary. And when they herded all that cattle down there, they got paid by the month, 2 months, depending on how far they rode. And then they came to see me. But they weren't the only ones that came to see me. You see, coming from the south on Common Street was the oil men. Oh, they came in. We loved those oil diggers. Also, the farmers came up. Now, they came on big wagons. We knew who had the money and who didn't because the ones who had the money had 6 mules. The others had 4. We liked the 6 mule men. Yeah, I was very popular at my house, but I was an entrepreneur. Prostitution was into. No. You see, I got me a player piano. And the men that came into my parlor paid 25 cents to hear a song and dance with my girls. They loved it. I also sold beer. I wasn't supposed to, but I sold beer. You know where my girls got it? I knew where to go. They'd take their hot water bottles And they'd have them filled up with beer and bring it back, and we'd put it on ice and sell that beer for $1 a cup. And if you wanted one of my girls, it was $5 for 1 hour. I made a lot of money. But I did a lot of good things here in Shreveport. I had such a good heart. As a matter of fact, I bought a lot of property. You see, I had my own attorney. You want me to tell you how I got that attorney?
Wouldn't we like to know?
You see, in those days there was an ordinance, and it said if you're on the street before 10 o'clock, you're going to get fined. Well, I don't know why I was out there this particular day, but it was before 10 o'clock, and some young policeman came up to me and gave me a $5 citation and 24 hours in jail. I hired me a lawyer. I sure did. And I fought that. I went to court. And that judge sat up there and he said, "Madam, state your name and your address." I just laughed. I called him his nickname, the one I always called him when I saw him. And I said, "Darling, you know who I am and you know where I live. And when you're in my bedroom, you call me honey." Well, I didn't get that ticket that night, and I didn't spend any time in jail. And after that, I was friends with a lot of policemen, a lot of politicians, a lot of clergy. You know why? Because I was generous with my money. I gave to charities more than anybody in this town. When they wanted money, they came to Annie first, and I gave her that money. I was proud of it. During the yellow fever epidemic, I never heard about that. I turned my house into a hospital. I did. And my girls worked there, the ones who wanted to stay. A lot of prominent people in Shreveport left because they didn't know what caused yellow fever and they didn't want to stay there. But Dr. Smith, Henry Smith was his name. I love that man. He worked hard to take care of all of those people. We lost a lot. We lost some of my girls too. That's when I went out and bought a lot of land in Shreveport. I bought land in the Highlands, next door to the best people. And I bought land in the Bottoms, and I bought this land. That's my daughter, right there. Her name is Ada Mary Carlisle. She's the prettiest thing you ever saw. She was an apple of my eye. I love that baby. I only had 5 years. That's all I was blessed with. But that's enough of that, because I'm not going to tell you anymore. I had a lot of property. It was shortly thereafter that they put up another ordinance, and it said that prostitution was not allowed in the city. We had to move out to the Bottoms, which was okay. My landlord, he was wonderful. He said to me, "Annie, if you want a nice house, I'll build you a 2-story house with 14 bedrooms." Ooh, I took him up on that. And he built me that house. As a matter of fact, he charged me $125 a month for that house. Nell Jester, she was another madam. She lived right down the street. Oh, I loved her. She was so sweet. That woman made $12,000 a year. I made 4 times that amount. I loved to give my money away. Some of my girls would end up with child, but I wouldn't let them go off and do anything that they shouldn't. I made them stay right there at my house. And I paid for the doctor, and I took care of them, and I clothed them, and I fed them till that baby was born. And when that baby was born, I took it to the orphanage. I supported that orphanage. As a matter of fact, at Christmas, every one of those little orphans, I made sure they had Christmas presents. new shoes and new clothes, and a big table full of food. I loved helping people. I also loved dressing, y'all. I had the nicest clothes. I was also a member of the Opera House, the Grand Opera House. It was huge. Loved that place. Had my own place up in the balcony. As a matter of fact, I had them take out 2 of the chairs, and they put a great big chair in there, fit for a queen. That's what they call me sometimes. Well, let me tell you a funny story about that. You see, I always bought the best hats and clothes and shoes. Phelps came to my house to get us all the shoes, but I went downtown to get the hats. And one time I went downtown, saw this hat that was unbelievably beautiful. I loved it. I bought it right then and there, a picture of it. He went and he mailed it to me. I told him to send a runner as soon as it came, and he did. And when it came, I was ready to get it. But right before I came in to get that hat, there was a prominent lady here in town. She came by and saw that hat and wanted that hat. And he told her he couldn't give it to her, but he could order her another one, just like it. Well, he didn't think we ever went the same circle together. But this particular time, I went to the Opera House with my girls. I had on that hat. It was gorgeous. I got out of that carriage, and I want you to know, buying tickets was a man and his wife, and she had on my hat. Now, I'm not going to say anything to her, but when she turned around and gasped, I had to go up and say, oh my, isn't it wonderful that we're both ladies and we both have the same taste? Well, there was a man called Goodlow Stuck. He wrote a book about me. It's called The Shreveport Man. And it tells you all the good things I did. I really like him. He's my friend. I never knew him. He died just a few years ago. And he asked them when he died if they would cremate him and spread him right there on top of me. So that's where he is. When I say goodbye to y'all today and you leave to go on the rest of your tour, I want you to remember one thing. Don't judge me from what the work I do. Don't judge me on the life I live. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.